everyone, and welcome to another ThinkerThemer review. I'm Amy, all about the mechanics. This is my wonderful bride-to-be, Maggie. She's all about the theme, or all about the story of the game, wanting to be immersed. And today we are looking at Hadrian's Wall. This is a recent game by Bobby Hill, and the publisher is Garphill Games. Garphill Games kindly provided us with this review copy, and spoiler alert, I'm so glad they did.
Yeah, me too. So what's the theme in Hadrian's Wall? It actually takes place in around 100, I think it's 140 AD, when Hadrian Augustus was obviously devastated by the aftermath of the war against the wildlings, essentially, the Picts, the savage Picts. And so what we are going to be trying to do as Roman generals is we're going to be trying to build our section of this wall to protect against the Picts, and we're going to be trying to also develop the entertainment and the kind of economy and attract civilians so that we can have more soldiers and we can have a thriving population and a thriving community.
We can be living our best life.
Living our best Roman lives.
And surviving.
And hopefully surviving the incoming waves of Picts as they arrive. Yes.
Now, this game is a roll and write. And, well, technically you're not rolling anything. It's a flip and write. But what's really interesting about this is that it's a heavy roll and write.
Yeah, so, Euro-y.
Yeah, it's very Euro-y type roll and write. And you'll see straight away that in front of us we have two big separate pieces of paper. So the game comes with two pads and you need one of each per player to play this game. And the way that it is played is what you'll be doing is marking off different tracks and achieving different combos in order to not only survive the incoming waves of Pict attacks, but also to build up Rome, like Maggie mentioned, with different types of citizens. And so what you have on these two sheets is on your left-hand side, it's all about the wall and your victory tracks. And the wall is this top part of the board here. And what you're going to be doing is you're going to be using different meeples. So we have thematically, I can't remember what they are.
Civilians, builders, servants, and soldiers.
Ah, good memory. Hey. Look at her and her theme. So I will just refer to them by the colours as usual.
Also helpful.
All of the different coloured meeples refer to different parts of the board, and you're going to need each of them to get different things done. At the beginning of your turn, or everyone's turn, we'll be revealing one of these fake cards. This fake card serves a number of different purposes, but the main one is to tell everybody which of these resources you're going to have in play for this year. The game plays over 6 years or 6 different rounds. So what we'll all be doing is taking these different resources and then we'll be using them and playing them onto our roll and write kind of board. But the other thing you'll be doing is everybody has their own deck of cards to the right here, and you'll be turning them over and deciding between two cards. Now, the main thing is that these cards are going to give you a bonus 2 resources to add to your collection, to add to these ones that you're going to have this round. But you get to choose one of them to put up here to save for later as an end game goal. So for example, this one says completed wall sections and this one says filled temples, 2 things that you can get done on the board. If I decide that this is going to be one of my end game scoring cards, I put it here, whereas this one I simply take the resources and leave it out because it has other functions throughout the game. But what you're doing, and I'm not going to go into everything that you can get done in this game. Actually, if you want to see a really fantastic instruction on how to play this game, please go and check out Stella and Tarrant at Meeple University. Tarrant does an amazing job of describing how to play this game. We'll link to it below. But if you're looking for a broad overview, what you're trying to do is you're trying to build out your resource production to create these resources, which you're going to need to build the wall. The wall is to help protect you from the Pict attacks. And as you're building out your wall, you're going to be able to contribute to this left, center, or right cohort, which is then going to help you defend from each of those angles, because as at the end of the round, as we reveal these, They have different levels of attacks. Depending on what difficulty you have the game at, you will be attacked by more and more picks, and you've got to make sure you've got your defenses up. At the same time as building out the wall, you're also building out Rome, and you can achieve these different groups of citizens, so traders, performers, priests, and then you're going to be building different buildings that help you get things done, help you exchange different type of meeples for other meeples, help you fill out these victory point tracks here at the bottom. There is so much choice.
Yeah.
There are so many things that you can get done. But what's really interesting about the gameplay is that just about anything that you do here gives you something else in return. So it's a bit of a tech tree in that when you play an action, it opens up more options for actions for you. But really what's super interesting is you get resources back almost as often as you put resources out. So if I use this citizen,
if you do it well, as we found out.
If you do it well.
Amy does it very well, and so her turns go on forever. Mine are a bit shorter than that.
Because you're achieving all these combos. Because if I use this citizen to fill out this trader track, for example, I'll be crossing this off and actually getting one of these purple meeples in return to use for something else. And so everybody completes their turn simultaneously, which means that the game length doesn't change too much, whether you're playing solo, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 6 players, which makes it really interesting because and we'll talk about this a bit later, but it really feels like a multiplayer solitaire experience because everybody is focused on what they're doing. At the end of the game, you're going to be adding up the points for each of the victory tracks and minusing any points for when you let your defenses down, and the person with the most points will win the game. I do want to point out that these cards also have these Tetris-y pieces because there is a tiny little puzzle in the corner of one of your sheets that allows you to build rows and columns for different effects and to get resources. And I have to mention that because I love polyomino tiles and they've built that in. But should we talk about thematic integration?
Now, this is a really interesting one because there's obviously a lot of, I love what they've done with setting the, what would you call it? It's not like, it's like a mise en scène is when you do the setting on the scene, like if it's on stage. I don't know what it's called with the game. It's like mise en Ludo or something. I'm trying to like throw what I think are Latin words in there or French. I don't know. But I actually visually really love what happens when you first kind of spread out the game and are kind of getting ready to play. Same with the cards as you're building it up. And the names and all of that, like fighter, planner, they do kind of give me that sense of like, oh yeah, okay, so this should be my strategy or that. When you're actually playing, I kind of feel like, yes, that you have the different kind of types of people in your city, and they do relate to the civilians are always going to be doing things in the city. The soldiers are always going to be doing some of the defending or helping build a wall. Your builders are the key thing that you use to build a wall. Beyond that, it's like it starts becoming very much just like, you know, it's
just
a
getting
puzzle.
to know the colors.
I do feel there is that sense of thrill when you have the incoming picks and go, oh, come on, I hope I've protected the right sides for the attacks. But aside from that, I kind of find that it's still more like that efficiency. This triggers that, triggers the other thing. Having said that, I love that. Like, I actually really, really enjoy this game, and I don't mind that I don't feel like entirely like I am doing all the things that thematically you would be doing.
I'm actually, as you're talking, I'm thinking about this game, and first of all, I'll say that we both really enjoyed this game, like a lot. And why that's so interesting is for two reasons. One, the thematic integration is not huge and Maggie still loved it. But secondly, and importantly, this might be the first game that is completely multiplayer solitaire.
Very much so.
So much so that you almost are in silence the whole time and not interacting with each other. I really enjoyed this game, and if you watch our channel, you know that I love player interaction. There are so many games that just don't do it for me, but this one, I don't know, it's so satisfying.
Yeah.
It is so satisfying with the combinations of things. It's kind of like if you've played Gashon Clever, which actually I've been playing a lot in app version lately, the same way that the tracks trigger something else to trigger something else, it has that combo effect. But there's something else in here that I really like, which is the elongation of your turn. It's like it just goes on and on if you do a good job.
Yeah, if you're being very good at it.
If you're being very good at it.
This is one of those games where like I'm gonna go done, and then like I'll be looking over at Amy and she still has like a whole handful of resources.
And not because I'm moving slowly, but because I'm generating more resources and more meeples, and it's such a satisfying puzzle.
Yeah.
Also, there is so much going on that you can't get everything done. So you need to focus your strategy, which means that between games, it's kind of fun to play with different strategies.
Yeah, it definitely lends itself to going, okay, so next turn I'm going to try and focus in that area or this area. And I love it when a game, I try and set out to do one thing, and then for whatever reason halfway through I realize that I'm doing something else, because obviously the way that the resources and the different meeples came out meant that I'm like, oh no, I'm going to play it safe and do the same thing that I did last time, even though last time didn't work all that well. So I do love that. I still feel like there's so much game left in this for me, where I'm still going to be discovering and exploring.
And I'm excited to play it again. Yes. And we play a lot of games, and not every game, you know, sometimes I feel like I've played out a game. After 4, 5, 6 games, I'm like, okay, I kind of know how that's going to happen. Yeah. This one, I'm still like, Maggie was playing it solo, and I was like, oh, I want to play.
She was painting. She was fine.
I was painting, but I was like, oh, I'm missing a game of it. And that's, I think, quite rare. And it's made us super excited. In terms of player counts, what's interesting is if you play 2 players, you will need to include a third deck, which is just another character's deck that basically reveals a card the same way that you reveal a card, because there is an opportunity to use the shapes on other people's cards, so that the person to your left and right, as well as this market action where you can use their numbers. That's about the extent of the interaction. In a 2-player game, if you are using this, you're putting resources on here instead of you're paying the third person instead of putting them back into the supply, and at the end that means there will be a stronger picked attack. But other than that, the game is really unchanged. You played it solo. How did you
it's
find
exactly the same experience. Oh, even the speed, like when Amy was asking me what's it like solo, I said it's exactly the same, just a little bit faster because she's not playing, so there's no me waiting for her to finish a turn. But aside from that, it doesn't change at all, really. I feel like if you brought in multiple decks, you could probably play this like 1 through to 100 people. You just, as long as you have, each player has their own deck. Like
if you had
there's no real limiting factor. And also because even when you're trading, you're only really trading with people usually on either side. And
that's certainly true. If you can't tell already, we really enjoy this game, and I'm so happy to have it in our collection. It will be staying.
Definitely.
It will be staying in our collection. Meg enjoys it solo, and it's one of those games where she probably won't even get to play it solo because I'll want to play every time. But it's interesting because it's so different to anything else in our collection, because even the roll and writes, they usually have more interaction than this one. And this feels like a very quiet task. It's like, for once, it was just complete silence when Maggie and I were playing. But not in like my brain hurts or anything like that. Just in a very zen, like...
It's very pleasant.
It is,
it's very pleasant. I wouldn't say zen to the point of like, it's relaxing and it's putting me to sleep. I think it's engaging and it keeps you it keeps your mind stimulated, and you get those little rewards whenever you trigger something else and you get a bonus meeple and a bonus disc. So you're like, ooh, like what will I do with this?
Yeah.
And maybe I can use this to trigger something else. So it's I find it, I don't even know, because it's a delightful experience, but delightful is not the right...
It was like, we were talking, it's like doing a crossword puzzle where you're challenged and then you unlock a word which gives you kind of a clue to the next word. It's that same satisfying feeling that I get from this. It's
the
like,
little hits of the little wins. Like, ooh, yes.
And there's an order that you have to do things. It's just really well designed. And I think that if you like that kind of experience, even if you don't, try it. I am so against multiplayer solitaire, and this game has puzzle has really got me. Really got me. So in terms of who would own it, if you love roll and writes, if you like any kind of combo building game, I really think there's something here for a lot of people.
Also, the addition of having physical resources that you're like collecting and swapping, that I think made so much difference to me, because there's so many other roll and writes where you're just kind of crossing things off, where you're like writing the inventory or thing, and it's just not quite the same. Yes, it's more efficient from a, you need fewer pieces, but there's just something so amazing when you're like that tactile
And when you get
thing
something back,
and
it
you're
feels
swapping,
really feel like
and,
you get something.
and at the start of your turn, you have a handful of, things and stuff to use.
A handful of opportunity.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. More so if you're Amy.
Anyway, we love this game.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a thumbs up or hit like, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. Then you'll hear whenever we launch a new video. We have 2 ongoing series, Backchat all about Kickstarter, Small Talk all about little filler games, and we love what we do. If you're really enjoying our videos, please join our channel membership, our YouTube channel membership. There's a community page. It unlocks all sorts of conversations with great people, extra videos each fortnight, and just lots
Badge
of
and emotes.
badges and emotes, all the fun
Have
things.
a Joey next to your name.
Yeah, so come join us. We don't take money from publishers. It's the only way that we support our channel. And if you're still watching, thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate your support, and happy gaming. Bye for now.
Yeah, bye.